Hi, good day everyone. We will be studying one of the most controversial objections of many Seventh-day Adventist brethren. They said that Sister Ellen G. White died in the Seventh-day Adventist Church in 1915 and the Reform Movement began in 1914. She did not leave the church but remained there until her death. And in this case, the Seventh-day Adventist Reform Movement is not a true church. Commonly, this argument is spoken by many Seventh-day Adventist believers who are still believing the writings of Ellen G. White. This we say because there are scores of Seventh-day Adventists who do not worry anymore about Ellen G. White, nor believe in her writings. And in order to understand this, we will explain to you many reasons, and we will do it one by one. So the first reason why Sister White did not join the Reform Movement and why she remained in the Seventh-day Adventist Church until she died is this one. Number one, the servant of the Lord, Ellen G. White, was not informed of everything that was happening in United States of America as well as even in Europe. And during the war in 1914, the situation, especially in Europe, was reported to her by her own son in a letter dated May 26, 1915. We have examples in the Bible which show that the prophets do not always know the real condition of the people. God did not reveal to them everything. They learned many things by getting information from others. At ibig sabihin mga kapatid na kahit po sa mga lumang mga propeta, hindi lahat na i-reveal sa kanila ang mga pangyayari sa loob ng bayan ng Panginoon. Kaya gaya ni Sister Ellen G. White, hindi lahat din na information ay na-reveal sa kanya through direct revelation from the Lord. But it should be also taken from information and notices from friends and from the brethren in the church. Tulad po sa nangyari ni Paul, basahin natin ang Testimonies for the Church, Volume 5, 65. Paul was an inspired apostle. Yet the Lord did not reveal to him at all times just the condition of his people, those who were interested in the prosperity of the church and saw evils creeping in, presented the matter before him, and from the light which he had previously received, he was prepared to judge of the true character of these developments. Ibig sabihin mga kapatid, na hindi lahat na informations na natanggap ni Paul ay galing po sa Panginoon. Especially kung mayroong mga pangyayari doon sa loob ng bayan ng Diyos, lalo na sa iba't ibang mga lugar na sasakupan sa kanyang trabaho. Not everything given by God to him directly by revelation, but he received it from the informations of the fellow brethren or from friends. Let us continue reading. Volume 5, 65. Because the Lord hath not given him a new revelation for that special time, those who were really seeking the light did not cast his message aside as only a common letter. No, indeed, the Lord has shown him the difficulties and danger which would arise in the churches, that when they should develop, he might know just how to treat them. Ibig sabihin mga kapatid, na hindi rin lahat na information na natanggap ni Pablo galing sa mga tao, kundi meron din direct revelation from the Lord beforehand na ang danger na ay darating, pinaalam ng Panginoon so that Paul will be able to solve the problem at hand. Ito po gaya din sa buhay ni Sister Ellen G. White. Hindi lahat na mga pangyayari ay na-reveal sa kanya, kundi may mga tao, parte ng kanyang pamilya o mga kasamahan sa trabaho o from the brethren, they give him some information, give her some information, and she make decision, and in that time, she'll be able to help to solve the problem. Ang pangalawang rason po ay ganito. Personally, Ellen G. White was in the United States of America when the war was going on in Europe. The believers who remained faithful to the law of God were shut out of the church there. If she had been there, what would be her attitude in regard to the war question? We believe that she should uphold what she previously had written in Volume 1, Testimonies for the Church, 361. Ibig sabihin, mga kapatid, na ang nangyari po sa Europe ay hindi alam ni Sister White. Dahil siya po'y nakatira sa United States of America. Pero kung siya po'y nandoon sa Europe, ang tanong mga kapatid, ano kaya ang gawin niya? What will be her reaction kung ang mga leaders po ng European Division will start to disfellowship brethren at siya po'y parte ng simbahan? Ano kaya ang gawin niya? Do you think she will unite with the leaders of the European Division? Or she will uphold what she had previously had written in one of the books of the Spirit of Prophecy, Volume 1, 361. We read, I was shown that God's people, who are His peculiar treasure, cannot engage in this perplexing war, for it is opposed to every principle of their faith. In the army, they cannot obey the truth at the same time obey the requirements of their officers. There would be a continual violation of conscience. Ano pong ibig sabihin sa talatang ito? Ang mga Adventista po ay hindi dapat sumama sa gera. Bakit po? Because it is perplexing. Number 2, it is opposed to the principles of the faith of the Seventh Adventists. Ang prinsipyo po ng Seventh Adventist, fundamental belief, number 20, ay tungkol po sa Sabat. At sabi doon, quoted ang Exodus 28:11, na everyone shall cease to work during Saturday. Kaya sabi ni Sister White, it is opposed to their principles of faith. Ibig sabihin, yung number 20 ng fundamental beliefs ng Sabadista ay mailabag kung sasama ka sa gira. At yung principles of faith number 19 ng Seventh Adventist Church ay tungkol po sa 10 Commandments. Isa doon yung 6th Commandment, thou shalt not kill. Ano bang gawin doon sa gira? Pag ang European Division nagbigay ng pahintulot na sumama sa gira, ibig sabihin, European countries against Germany. Pag sasama yung mga Sabadista, nag-awayan yung mga Sabadista. Ibig sabihin, nagpatayan yung mga Sabadista. Do you think it is not perplexing? Or is it not confusing na bawat Adventista nag-armas, nagdadala ng armas, pumapatay, at pinatay yung sarili niyang kapatid? Is that confusing enough? Yes, of course. At not only that, it is opposed to the principles of their faith. Eh bakit po? In the army, they cannot obey the truth. Kung magiging sundalo ka, lalo na sa panahon ng actual na gira, kahit Sabado, walang exempted na makatira doon sa barracks. The captain or the general will command you to go out, fight. Pag nandoon ka na sa battlefield, and you will say, General, I cannot work now because it's Sabbath. You'll be court-martialed or you'll be suspended. So, ang mangyari mga kapatid, both you cannot obey the Lord and also you cannot obey your officers. There would be a continual violation of conscience. Kaya po, ang payo ni Ellen G. White na ang lahat ng Adventista ay hindi sumama sa gera. Ngayon mga kapatid, what would be the church reaction then if Sister Ellen G. White will not connive with the leaders of the European Division? O, pag ang option ni Ellen G. White, meron dalawa lang, either she will connive with them, pahintulutan niya na sasama sa gira kung nandoon siya sa Europe, or siya mismo hindi sasama. Ano kayang reaction doon? There are only two options also. Either Ellen G. White will become false prophet. Bakit po? Nagsulat siya na hindi dapat sasama sa gira. Ngayon, nagpahintulot siya. Ibig sabihin, she is a false prophet. So she cannot be the prophet of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Pag she will decide, yes, I will not join the war. You are right, 2%. You are very good. You stand for the right. And you are disfellowship, then what will happen to the European Division officers? They will also disfellowship Ellen G. White. That's why once you will really stand for the right, there will be always consequences. So hindi natin alam kasi si Ellen G. White wala doon. So Silencio, wala siyang sinabi either for the European Division or either for those who were disfellowship. Pangatlong rason mga kapatid, Sister Ellen G. White died on July 16, 1915, and the JAR Conference made a decision to grant liberty of conscience to transgress God's law a few months later in November 1915. The disfellowshipment of the faithful few Adventists took place in 1918. Let us read. At the beginning of the war, our organization divided into two parts. While 98% of our members stepped out, after searching the Bible on the ground, it was our conscientious duty to defend the fatherland with weapon and also on Sabbath. And this decided position of the United Leaders was at once forwarded to the War Department. 2%, however, did not submit themselves to this decision of the leaders and therefore had to be disfellowshipped because of their unchristian conduct. Our leaders had up to this day allowed our surplus church money to be used in war loans in the foolish assurance with God's help would come through this terrible struggle victorious. And this declaration, my beloved friends, is written in a periodical owned by the church, Seventh-day Adventist Church. Ang pangalan po ng periodical ay Dresden Neueste Nachrichten, April 10, 1918, page 31. Kaya ito po hindi gawa-gawa. Ito po isang solid document na classified documents, I should say, na nagpatotoo na 98% doon po sa Europe ay sumama sa gira at 2% ay na-disfellowship dahil hindi sumama sa gira. Ang decision nila na hindi sumama sa gira was labeled to be unchristian conduct and they were disfellowship from the church. At ano pa nangyari? They loaned their surplus money to the government to be used for the war. And they said, they trust that God will help, that Germany will be victorious in the struggle of the war. Imagine. So, another part of this declaration that they will go out, defend the country as combatant, not only medics, but they will go out as combatant. Now, mga kapatid, ilan po kaya talaga ang naapektuhan ng mga bansa doon po sa Europe? The disfellowshipment of faithful SDA members happened in 16 countries of European division during the war. And even after the war, these countries are the following: Austria, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Great Britain, Holland, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Russia, Sweden, Switzerland, Yugoslavia. At the end of the war, there were survivors, more or less 4,000 of them, not including to those who were killed as martyrs during the war. Kaya mga kapatid, these 4,000 people included ministers, included pastors, included leaders of the church, lay members, and local members within 16 countries of Europe. Kaya mali yung paratang na ang dahilan bakit na-disfellowship yung mga reformers dahil sa kanilang loud protest. At ang nangyari doon lang sa Germany, at hindi lahat ng mga nagre-reform doon sa Germany nagprotesta. Siguro, let us accept it, granting na meron nagprotesta, pero hindi lahat ng mga reformista. Kasi merong sariling desisyon ng bawat isa. But you cannot carry all this problem to the whole group who were disfellowship because it involved 16 countries in Europe and 4,000 people. And the reason why they were disfellowship, not because of the protest, but because of the decision that they will not join in the war, non-participation of the war. Ang question mga kapatid, did the German Union make the correction of the wrong action of the local churches who disfellowship this fellow brethren, fellow Adventists? Let us see. In Seventh-day Adventist Encyclopedia, page 1332, we read, on the German mobilization in August 1914, the Seventh-day Adventists of the country were forced with the necessity of making an immediate decision concerning their duty to God and country when called into the armed forces. After counseling with a few Seventh-day Adventist leaders locally available at the time, the president of the East German Union informed the German War Ministry in writing dated August 4, 1914, that conscripted Seventh-day Adventists would bear arms as combatants and would render service on the Sabbath in defense of their country. You see that? Instead of correcting the error of the local church, they made it public declaration, and even to the government of Germany, they said that all conscripted Seventh-day Adventists would bear arms as combatants, not medics, but combatants. They will bear arms. And even they will render service during Sabbath. Is that repentance, brethren? Or what? Connivance with sin. Not the local church anymore, but the whole union decided to participate in war. What about the division? Let us see. Do you think the Seventh-day Adventist European Division corrected that problem? Let us read. And you know, the headquarters of the European Division was located in Hamburg, Germany. Encyclopedia of the Seventh-day Adventist, page 1332. At the time, Seventh-day Adventist activities in all Europe were under supervision of the denomination's European Division with headquarters in Hamburg, Germany. As a result of unfavorable statements against the German government made by some of fanatics. Look at this one, brethren. This word, some of the fanatics, they are reformers who make a public declaration that they will not join the war. Then what happened? There was a threat from the German government that they will close all the churches in Germany. And because of fear that the churches will be closed, anong ginawa ng European Division? Sabi dito mga kapatid, SDA churches in the state of Saxony were closed by the public authority only when 3 Seventh-day Adventist leaders at Hamburg in a letter to the government in Berlin March 4, 1915 reasserted their stand on combatancy was the ban against Seventh-day Adventist churches in Saxony lifted up. So ibig sabihin mga kapatid na ang European Division also tolerated the sin. Ibig sabihin, contaminate yung kasalanan. Unang-una, local church. Pangalawa, yung union. Pangatlo, the European division. They agree. And even they said, well, we will go to the war, combatant. So, tatlo ng branches of the work affected by this apostasy. What about the General Conference? Let us see. And during the time, the General Conference president was Elder Daniels. Ano po bang ginawa ni Elder Daniel after the war? Did he ever corrected the problem or connive or tolerate the problem? So ito pong pangyayari ay naisulat sa isang aklat na tinawag na protocol o proceedings sa pag-solve sa problem within these two divergent group. 98% who joined the war and 2% who did not join the war. Kaya pumunta doon si Elder Daniel sa Friedenau, Germany in July 21st or 23rd of the year 1920 to settle the war problem. He had a meeting with 51 delegates who supported the war, headed by Elder L.R. Conradi, and 16 delegates of the disfellowship brethren headed by E. Dosler. Ang proceedings po sa meeting na ito ay naitala sa isang minute book called Protocol. Kaya, ano ba ang declaration ni Elder Daniel doon po sa Friedenau, Germany in 1920? Okay, let us read. As soon as the war broke out in Europe, we all in America started to study the question in details. After we studied the question in detail, we found that it perplexed us very much. Then we took the position, everyone must follow his conscience regarding this question. Anong ibig sabihin dito, mga kapatid? Hindi pa nakapunta si Elder Daniel sa Europe. Doon pa sila sa Amerika. Nung nakita nila na na-involve ang Europe sa gira at ang mga Sabadista ay sumama na sa gira, then General Conference already decided that everyone must follow his conscience regarding this question. Anong ibig sabihin dito? There is a way of tolerance. Ibig sabihin, kung gusto kang sumama sa gira, depende sa konsensya ninyo. Kung ayaw mong sumama sa gira, depende sa konsensya ninyo, walang sapilitan. Pero ang problema, bakit pinilit ng 98% yung 2% na dapat sumama? Pag hindi sumama, disfellowship. Yan ay hindi na liberty of conscience. Di ba, mga kapatid? Pero ang salitang liberty of conscience to follow the doctrine of the Lord is not what? According to the law of God. Hindi pwedeng mamimili ka to obey or not to obey. Ang gusto ng Panginoon, we must obey. Walang pilian, mga kapatid. The only choice is to obey the commandments of God. Patuloy tayo sa pagbasa. We read here in Protocol 28 and 30, as long as we don't have any precise limits and rules regarding our position towards authorities, everyone must follow or must be allowed liberty to proceed according to his conscience. The brethren in America maintain the same moderate and indulgent position as our brethren in Europe. Anong ibig sabihin dito? Kahit doon po sa Amerika, sabi ni Daniels na pareho sila ng pag-iisip sa European Division. Na depende sa mga kapatid. If their conscience say you will join the war, go ahead. Kaya wala nang what? Specific stand ang General Conference sa panahon na ito in the person of President Elder Daniel. Ibig sabihin, kung kayo po sumunod sa batas ng Panginoon, okay. Pag hindi kayo sumunod sa batas ng Panginoon, okay rin. Now, another declaration of President Daniels directed to the 2%. Anong sinabi niya? Brother Daniels, Sabi niya, "Brethren, I am very, very sorry that you do not wish to accept the advice that the brethren give you. Brethren who have had so much experience, I am afraid that you will not do that. It seldom happens that brethren who are following the path that you are ever accept such advice. In fact, further appeals will be of no benefit, but will only bring greater support to our decision. So, if it is impossible for us to agree, then a separation must come. It will take further time to examine carefully and practically the question which the brethren placed before us." Ang karugtong po ay ganito. Basahin natin. "We believe that you are completely in error concerning your position on this question. We believe in the fourth commandment just the same as we always believe it, but we are not able to accept the interpretation you put upon it. What would you have said concerning Moses a few days after he received the law of God upon Sinai? And if he would have told you to go and kill the king of Bashan, all the men, women, and children, would you have accused him as a murderer? But God commanded him to transgress the sixth commandment." You see that many things are found in the interpretation of the Ten Commandments, and we must have freedom to read and to understand them, and not being bound to the interpretation on any small organization. Ganito mga kapatid, kung i-analyze natin ang declaration ni President Daniels sa 2% na hindi sumama sa gira, is it inclined to them or opposing to them? Klarong-klaro mga kapatid, na he is opposed to the idea, to the 2%. Sabi pa niya, tatanggap lang po ng Ten Commandments. Some few days after, si Moses ay sinugo ng Panginoon na, "Go and kill the king of Bashan, their wives, their women, their children, without mercy." Will you accuse Moses as a murderer? Ano ibig sabihin doon? President Daniel did not read his Bible. He was thinking that killing persons during the war is appropriate, according to his idea. His interpretation that because in the Old Testament, the Israelites were going to war, so the modern Israelites during war also has the right to defend their country. Hindi yan nalaman na sa bagong tipan, especially in the teachings of Christ, the new kingdom of Christ is what? Love your enemies. Jesus said, "My kingdom is of this world, is not of this world. If my kingdom is of this world, then I will call my soldiers and ask them to fight to protect me. But my kingdom is not of this world." Kaya sabi ni Panginoong Hesus, "Blessed are the peacekeepers." At doon po sa cross, hindi nagalit si Kristo, hindi siya nagsabi na, "Sige, mag-alsahan na kayo, you should fight to protect me." Even Peter, when Peter started to get the sword and strike the ear of one of the person who came to catch Jesus, Jesus said, "Peter, put down back your sword, because the one who live with the sword will die with the sword." Mga kapatid, mula noon, pati lahat ng mga apostoles, they did not arm themselves. Even they were what? They were persecuted. Even they were maltreated. But none of them armed themselves. None of them fight until the time of the Seventh-day Adventists. In the infancy of Seventh-day Adventists during the Civil War in 1863, none of the Seventh-day Adventists took weapons and fight to defend their fatherlands. Instead, Seventh-day Adventists stand for the principles not to violate the Sabbath and to violate the sixth commandment. Kaya dito po nagkamali si President Daniel. And he pronounced judgment to the 2%. He said, We believe that you are completely in error concerning your position in this question. At isa pa sa kanyang sinasabi, if it is impossible for us to agree, then a separation must come. Kita mo yan mga kapatid. During this settlement, sinabi pa niya na, okay, if you want to continue with that idea, then what can we do? Separation must come. Why? Because I believe that you are completely in error in your decision not to join the war when it is needed to defend the fatherland. Ito po ang nangyari sa settlement sa Predensao in 1920. Mga kapatid, ito po isang local apostasy supposedly. At first, if it was checked by the local unit, and then after that, there will be no problem. The sins will die right there. But it was tolerated by the officers of the local church, and then tolerated by the union, and then tolerated by the division, and finally tolerated by the General Conference. And finally, the situation is become international apostasy. Anong sabi po ng Testimonies to Ministers, chapter or verse or passage, page number 16, paragraph 2. Basahin natin. If a defiance of God's arrangements, the world be allowed to influence our decisions or our actions, the purpose of God is defeated. However specious the pretext, if the church waver her, there is written against her in the books of heaven a betrayal of the most sacred trusts and treachery to the kingdom of Christ. Ibig sabihin mga kapatid, kahit ano pang mga rason na gawin natin, if the church opted to reject the Word of God, then there is a written against her in the books of heaven. Ano yung mga punto na pwede maisulat against the church? Ang isulat doon, mga kapatid, ay ganito: treachery to the kingdom of Christ. Ang pang-apat na rason, mga kapatid, ay ganito: during the last 2 years of her life, Ellen G. White did not write to the church anything. Her last message sent to the General Conference was in 1913. All the light she had received for God's people had been already given in 1914 until 1918. The church was most needing her counsel. Ibig sabihin mga kapatid, ang huling letter of inspiration or counsel or admonition for the church was done in 1913. At sa taon 1914 to 1918, yun po ang taon na the church really need the counsel of Ellen G. White, pero wala nang letter for them. Wala nang admonition for them. Why? God laid her down to rest. Patay na po si Ellen G. White. A similar condition existed in the time of Prophet Samuel. Saul had already been rejected by God. David had already been anointed to be the king and was persecuted by Saul. In the time of greatest need, God called Samuel to rest. Let us read Patriarchs and Prophets 664. It was when the nation was racked with internal strife, when the calm, God-fearing counsel of Samuel seemed to be most needed, that God gave His aged servant rests. Ibig sabihin mga kapatid, na sa panahon na si Saul nangangailangan ng konseho, although Saul was already rejected by the Lord, but the people of Israel needs help, counseling, and admonition dahil nagkasala yung hari. Hindi na po nabigyan ng guidance ng Panginoon. At si David na po ang bagong hari sana, anointed na. Pero ang problema, wala na pong prophet. in the midst of them. Samuel rested already. Kaya gaya po ni Ellen G. White, mga kapatid, sa panahon ng 1914 to 1918, the church really needs so much admonition and counseling from Ellen G. White. Pero ang Panginoon po lay down His servant to rest. Wala na pong admonition para sa bayan ng Seventh-day Adventist Church. Therefore, mga kapatid, merong mga tanong. We asked to those Seventh-day Adventists who bring this objection, why did Samuel not join David's group? But instead, he stayed with the people of Saul and remained with them to the end and was buried by Saul. Does it mean, mga kapatid, na mali ang grupo ni David? Ibig sabihin ba nagkamali din si Samuel na sumama siya sa isang apostate na hari na si Saul? Another thing, mga kapatid, we asked again, why did William Miller not join the Sabbath keepers, but rather he remained in the Baptist Church to the end of his life? The same argument can be used by the Baptist. The Seventh-day Adventist Church began in 1844. William Miller died in 1849. If the Adventists were right, then Miller would have joined them, but he did not. He died in the Baptist Church, not in the SDA Church. Why did he not join with them? It is a wonder. Kaya dito, mga kapatid, we can understand na hindi lahat sa panahon na ang isang propeta o isang leader na kung naapostasya na yung simbahan niya at may bagong naitayo ang Panginoon na grupo niya o simbahan niya, ay hindi lahat sa panahon na ang isang propeta ay sumama sa bagong grupo o bagong simbahan na naitayo ng Panginoon. For example, does it make the Seventh-day Adventist Church wrong and makes the Baptist Church right because William Miller was the servant of God? He was the pioneer of the preaching of the coming of Jesus Christ. He was the pioneer of interpreting the 1,260 days in prophecy. And he was the backbone of the spirit of Adventism. But why is it he did not join with the Seventh-day Adventist Church but died in the Baptist Church? Does it make Seventh-day Adventist Church wrong and make the Baptist Church right? No. Why he did not join? It is a wonder. God knows what is the reason, but it does not make the Seventh-day Adventist Church wrong because William Miller did not join the group. Another scenario, beloved brethren. Let's go to the life of John the Baptist. Why did John the Baptist not join Jesus' company and become one of the 12 apostles? Was not the Christian church organized by Jesus while there was still grace for the Jews as a people, as a God's church? Is there no salvation for John the Baptist because he did not join the company of Jesus? Ito po magandang argumento, mga kapatid. Si Juan Bautista, siya po ang nag-prepare sa daan ni Kristo. He was preparing the ministry of Jesus. He was pointing the people to the Lamb of God that taketh away the sin of the world. The fact that he was the one who introduced the first disciple of Jesus to join with Jesus. And John was a member of the Jewish church. And Christ was the founder of the Christian church. Ang tanong po, does it make John wrong? Does it forfeit the salvation of John because he did not join Jesus Christ? Oh, no. We wonder again why he did not join the church. Does it make wrong the group of Jesus? No. Does it make wrong John the Baptist because he did not join Jesus? No. So, there are many examples in the Bible, brethren, that real prophets will not join the new group of the Lord's church just established. They died in those churches who were already apostatized. But still, they are considered as God's people o God's servant. Ang limang rason po mga kapatid ay ganito. The Seventh-day Adventist Reform Movement was not organized in 1914. At that time, there were many organized groups in different countries in Europe made up of those who were treated unjustly. That is, they were disfellowship from Seventh-day Adventist Church. These various groups used different local names. They had no thought of organizing themselves as a separate denomination. They were trying to be reconciled with the church, hoping her leaders would recognize the wrong done and correct them. Look at this one, brethren. This is one of the sample of the registration of the disfellowship brethren in Germany. Look at the registration. International Missionary Society of Seventh-day Adventists, Dutch Union or German Union in 1919. Ibig sabihin, hindi sila reformista mga kapatid. Hindi sila Reform Movement. Sila po ay Seventh-day Adventist pa. Ibig sabihin, under sila ng umbrella ng Seventh-day Adventist Church. Although they were disfellowship already, but still they claim that they are Seventh-day Adventist. And look, other countries. In Hungary, ang pangalan po ay Seventh-day Adventist standing in the old platform of 1844. Yung pangalan nila. In Transylvania, Adventists of the Ancient Faith. In Romania and Bulgaria, Adventists on the basis of the faith of 1844. In Yugoslavia, the Remnant Adventists. In Czechoslovakia, the Seed of the Woman. In Scandinavia, Adventists of the Original Faith. Kaya walang mabasa dito na sila po ay SDA Reform Movement sa panahon na yan. All of them claim to be under the banner of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, although they were kicked out from the church already, but still they cling to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The Seventh-day Adventist Reform Movement was officially established and proclaimed as a worldwide organization in 1925. At the time, the principles of faith and church order were drawn up. From that year onwards, the Seventh-day Adventist Reform Movement existed as a separate worldwide movement. This, however, did not take place until all resources for reconciliation had been exhausted. Mga kapatid, totoo yan. Si Sister White namatay 1915, wala pa ang Reform Movement. 1918, officially na disfellowship yung mga kapatid po sa Germany. At sunod-sunod sa ibang mga bansa sa Europe po na disfellowship. At meron silang mga ginawang appeal and reconciliation to the JAR Conference. For example, mga kapatid, ay ganito. At the close of the discussion of Prudensau with the representative of the JAR Conference, the minority asked to be heard by a delegation session to be held in the United States of America in 1922. Two representatives of the 2% were sent to Sacramento, or San Francisco, I should say, United States of America, to request a hearing with the delegates in session on May 11, 1922. On this time, 2 letters of appeal for reconciliation basing on the principles of God were sent to the delegation, but there was no answer. Anong ibig sabihin dito mga kapatid? Kahit all these fellowship brethren dismayado sa 1920 nung pumunta si Elder Daniel sa Prudensau, Germany, ay hindi pa rin nawala ang pag-asa. Sabi nila, Elder Daniel is not the JAR Conference. He is not the final authority. Although he was the president, but he cannot say the final decision. It should be the General Conference delegation in session. Kaya ang huling appeal o apelo na ginawa ng disfellowship brethren ay nangyari po ito sa May 11, 1922, San Francisco, California, United States of America. Meron silang dalawang liham na pinadala, letters of appeal to the session, delegation in session, pero ang problema, walang sagot mga kapatid. At nangyari sa May 24, si Elder Daniel, then president in the time, gave a verbal answer to one of the representatives of the disfellowship members. Among other things, he stated that they could never permit these questions to be brought up before the whole delegation. Whether it was right or wrong, we see that they did not want to discuss the matter further, even though principles were involved. Anong ibig sabihin dito mga kapatid? Na sa Mayo 24, 2 days after, si President Daniel lumabas, nakipagtagpuan sa dalawang delegado ng disfellowship brethren, at nagsabi siya verbally, we cannot accept your questions or we cannot permit your question to be brought up into the whole delegation. Although it is right or wrong, but we will not discuss it further. So, meron dalawang justification ang naibigay niya. Ito po, to justify themselves, for they cannot deny the apostasy. The leaders of the church bring up two different arguments. Number one, they say that the spirit of prophecy endorses bearing of arms, and therefore that they did was not wrong. Ibig sabihin, na suportado daw sa spirit of prophecy ang pagkarga ng armas, kaya hindi sila nagkasala sa 1914. Pangalawang rason, if it is wrong or mistake or sin to carry arms during the war, then they said they recognize that they committed a great mistake, but say that the persons responsible for the apostasy repented. Ang tanong po mga kapatid, kung nagrepent yung mga leaders sa European Division, ibig sabihin, meron bang pataw na naibigay sa kanila? Natanggal ba yung kanilang credential as minister? Gaya sa ginawa nila na hindi sumama sa gira na disfellowship, dapat may mangyari din sa sumama sa gira. Dapat may disfellowship din na mangyari sa kanila. At saka, normally, kung nagrepent sila, they will reinstate back yung mga kapatid na hindi sumama sa gira. Pero pinabayaan nila hanggang ano po, they were away out from the church forever. Kaya po, mga kapatid, ang 2% na mga Sabadista na na-disfellowship finally made a decision to meet together in a session in 1925. At ito po ang minutes nila mga kapatid, and officially they were formed into a jar conference in this place in Germany, Gotha, Germany. Kaya officially po ang Seventh-day Adventist Reform Movement was organized into a jar conference in Gotha, Germany in July 1925. Kaya mga kapatid, as a conclusion, we can understand that in the time of Sister Ellen G. White, sa kanyang panahon nung namatay na siya, the Reform Movement ay hindi pa po nag-exist. There was no Reform Movement in the time of Ellen G. White. So she could not have died in a church which did not exist. Another reason, beside all this, Ellen G. White made her last appeal for a revival and reformation in her last message to the church. And she saw that many were responding to the call of God and that a great movement was taking place. Ang tanong mga kapatid, saan kaya mababasa ito pong appeal ni Ellen G. White about thorough reformation? At saan kaya mababasa na may maraming nag-respond to the call of reformation? Let us see. Testimonies to Ministers 514. Men of clear understanding are needed now. God calls upon those who are willing to be controlled by the Holy Spirit to lead out in a work of thorough reformation. I see a crisis before us, And the Lord calls for His laborers to come into line. So ang panawagan dito po mga kapatid ay ang Panginoon ay nangangailangan ng mga tao na may clear understanding. At ano ang gawin nila? To lead out a work of thorough reformation. Ano po ang ibig sabihin ng thorough reformation? It is a work of complete reformation mga kapatid. Ay bakit po? Dahil may krisis na darating. Ang krisis po ay yung gira mula 1914 hanggang 1918. At may nag-respond ba sa panawagan ng thorough reformation? Tingnan natin, 515 ng Testimonies to Ministers. I had been deeply impressed by scenes that have recently passed before me in the night season. There seemed to be a great movement, a work of revival going forward in many places. Our people were moving into line. Ang tanong mga kapatid, sino kaya itong nag-respond? Ay hindi lang sa isang lugar. Sabi po, there seemed to be a great movement, a work of revival going forward in many places. Kaya po, ang nangyari po sa 1914 to 1918 ay fulfillment sa prophecy na ito. 16 countries in Europe, we have reformers who were disfellowship because they did not join the war, especially during the World War I. We wonder who are this movement that was seen by Ellen G. White. We fully believe, brethren, that it was the Seventh-day Adventist Reform Movement responding to God's call. This is my wish and prayer, and this is my willingness that the Lord will help us, that the Lord will give us understanding, that God has a remnant people in these last days. This is my wish and prayer. Amen.